it's just starting to get tiresome, which is what they want, I think, is to just wear everybody down. So you've got to fight. They've been there, done that aspect of this. That's exactly what the Obama people want you to do, is just throw up your hands, say the heck with it, and they move in. It's Friday, folks. Let's just keep going here.
Live from the Southern Command in sunny South Florida, it's Open Line Friday!
Oh, what I mean is tiresome is the predictable reaction to things like this, the absolute lack of common sense reaction to stuff like this. From President Obama, everybody in the media. For crying out loud, folks, they had gun control on this school. There weren't any guns there except in the hands of the bad guy. You want to know what gun control is going to do? You just saw it. Every one of these school shootings is a gun-free zone. The left has everything they want on these school campi. No guns. And then when the shooter starts on his rampage, guess what it takes to shut it down? They got to go find somebody with a gun and bring them in to take out the shooter. This is absurd. If the shooter had known there were guns on site, the odds are this might not have even happened. It's great to have you with us. Rush Limbaugh here at 800-282-2882. If you're going to be in the program, it's Open Line Friday, which means have at it. Anything you want to talk about, fair game. If you want to send an email, lrushmo@eibnet.com. This bears repeating. Everything the liberals want, they already have at practically every school in this country. They have a gun-free zone. We had one security guard armed that was nowhere near the scene. Outside of that, no guns anywhere except in the hands of the bad guy. Hello, future. And at every one of these shootings, this is the case. The good people are disarming themselves. The good people are believing all this hoi polloi that all they've got to do is get rid of guns and everybody will get rid of guns and then bad people will become nice people and we will be on our way to utopia. We have given them everything they want, and the evidence is clear it does not work. Gun-free zones do not save lives. They cost lives. And yet we have to listen to President Obama before we even knew the details. Before we even knew how many were dead in Oregon, there's Obama once again calling for disarming good Americans and leaving them without any way to defend themselves against lunatics like this. The fact that this guy was targeting Christians, you can't find that in the drive-by media. Now, that's a problem for the media, so they've got to find other ways to find other news that would seemingly be more important than that. There's all kinds of information about this shooter that's been gathered that tells us quite a bit about the guy and who his role models were and who his mentors were, the people that had inspired him. And they're not anybody you'd want to hang around. They're not anybody you'd want in your house. They're not anybody you'd want in your kids' schools. Now we've got the sports media last night was weighing in on this Albert Breer, who is a reporter for the NFL Network. Or maybe it's CBS. He used to be at the NFL Network. He may have moved to CBS and goes back and forth. Anyway, he tweeted last night, and this, folks, is exactly, this mindset in this tweet is exactly where the Democrat Party and the American left is today. Quote, I'd say 141 school shootings, that's the stat that's going around, 141 school shootings in 138 days or something, whatever the stat is. The tweet is, I'd say 141 school shootings is evidence that the American public has blown its right to bear arms. Oh, yeah, so we can blow our rights. We can overdo them. This is dangerous. Here we have an educated journalist who does not even understand the premise behind the Bill of Rights and doesn't seem interested in understanding the premise behind the Bill of Rights. This guy wants to turn the Bill of Rights upside down and use it as a way to limit and punish individuals, citizens, under the pretext that they have forfeited their rights. They didn't do anything here. They are the victims. This is absurd. The victims, the people who are dead, are the people this sports writer and others want to punish. And I say the first reaction I had was when I heard this happen yesterday, I knew, go back and play the soundbite if you want to, which I won't. But I was able to experience guided by intelligence. You knew what was going to happen here. That's what gets tiresome. What gets tiresome is we know what the reaction's going to be. The left never learns. They don't want to learn. This is an opportunity. It's another thing that sickens me about this is an opportunity for them. They treat it as an opportunity. They almost get gleeful. It's on a par with a hurricane striking land. You notice they've lost all the interest in the hurricane now. It's not going to strike land. Well, not all interest. They're still trying to scare people in North Carolina and up the East Coast that the waves could be a little higher than usual. They've got a rainstorm coming in from the west anyway, nothing to do with a hurricane. So they're still pummeling these people on the East Coast how bad it's going to be. Could be Armageddon here. You got to go stock up the shelves. Never ends. Never ends. And the people that take it in the shorts in this country are the law-abiding innocent. They're the ones that get the blame. They're the ones we are told we have to disarm. They're the ones we are told present the problem. We even have a story. Obama, get this. Wolf Blitzer said on CNN, Obama was embarrassed of the United States in front of the world after the Oregon shooting. As part of CNN's live coverage Thursday night of the deadly community college shooting in Oregon, fill-in Anderson Cooper host Wolf Blitzer declared that President Obama was embarrassed of the United States in front of the world when he commented on the tragedy and urged Americans to go ahead and politicize these shootings. Speaking with chief analyst Gloria Borger and senior White House correspondent Jeff Zeleny, Blitzer said, because it was almost like Gloria, it was almost like he was embarrassed of the United States in front of the world, saying every other industrialized country, every other Western country, they don't have these kinds of mass shootings. No, you know what kind of shootings they have? They have mass butchered shootings by religious extremists crossing their borders. That's the kind of shootings they've got. But for this man, CNN, and Obama to try to tell us we've got peaceful utopia in all these Western European democracies where they supposedly have gun control, really? Really? You want to tell me there aren't any gun or other violent weapons atrocities in those countries? There most certainly are, and they are happening because we are caving to the bad guys. In this country, you might not say we're caving, but we're catering to by disarming the law-abiding, by disarming the targets, by disarming the innocent. Gun-free zone, except for the bad guy. I'm telling you, every dream the left has was on display on this campus yesterday. There weren't any guns there. You can't do any better. You can't have any more gun control than they already have there. This is what these people either don't want to understand or can't comprehend or either don't care. The concept that bad people are going to find guns just seems to escape them. We don't know where this guy got his guns. We know in one instance, a deranged, unstable kid got the guns from his own home, mom's collection or what have you, a legal collection. But do they think that passing a law against robbing banks is going to stop bank robberies? Do they think passing a law against murder is going to stop murder? Do they think passing a law saying X is going to stop X from happening? Of course not. So what's so magic about gun control? And there you realize, there you learn that it isn't about stopping things like this. What they're really pushing for is not trying to stop things like this because we've already demonstrated we can't, given their policies. They take instances like this and they rub their hands together in near glee and think of the opportunity to disarm even more Americans. Now, within the subset of liberals, I guarantee you there's some buffaloed, innocent, ignorant, standard ordinary, everyday issue Americans who mistakenly believe in the goodness of their hearts that taking guns away from people will make us safer. I'm not accusing them. All they are is wrong and short-sighted. But the people that spearhead things like this, like Obama and every other elected Democrat that run out there at first sign of trouble and try to politicize it and capitalize on it, that's the right word. Why would anybody want to try to capitalize on this? And who does? You need to ask yourself, who is it trying to capitalize on this? And I can guarantee you the vast majority of them are going to have a D, a capital D, next to their name if they're on a ballot. Obama embarrassed for his country, wants more gun control. The guy just cleared the decks for Iran to get a freaking nuclear weapon. And he's embarrassed of this country? We have a sanctity of life problem in this country. That is, there's less and less of it. How in the world can you have this kind of over-the-top, out-of-proportion reaction and when faced with what happens at Planned Parenthood, yawn? Not just yawn, but deny it, try to cover it up and say, no, that's actually for medical research. So is it really death that bothers them? Is it unnecessarily death and wanton killing that bothers? Obviously not when it happens at Planned Parenthood. In fact, they want to encourage that. They'll do everything they can to keep Planned Parenthood in business, keep going, doing what they're doing, even if it involves butchering babies. It's sick. The whole thing is just sick. But folks, you have a growing percentage of people who will agree with this short-sighted sports reporter with this really dangerous and asinine belief that we can somehow overuse our freedom and thus be disqualified from having it. That's what the brilliant Albert Breer means when he says 141 screw shootings is evidence the American public has blown its right to bear arms. It's as though freedom is a test, and we have this massive centralized authority filled with good-hearted liberals, no doubt, and they are passing judgment on each of us as we use our freedom. And we can overdo it. We can blow it. We can blow our right. We can be too free. We can overcome too much oppression. And we do it when we blow our right to various freedoms, then it's perfectly warranted and understandable that the central authority would come in and take some of that freedom away because we're not responsible enough to use it. There are trade-offs. You know, we have a society that is founded on the whole concept of liberty and freedom. And the very idea that things like this happen makes people excited that they can take some of that freedom away ought to scare every one of you in this audience. A brief timeout while you ponder that. Just getting warmed up here. Back in a moment. How are you? Welcome back, Rush Limbaugh, as we head on into the weekend here at the EIB Network. A correction, a security guard was not armed on the campus of this community college. I erred. Okay, so they're running around 141 school shootings in whatever it is, the last 38 or 45. I don't know what the timeline is. Doesn't matter. What that tells me is we have 141 gun-free schools. Every one of these schools that has been hit is gun-free. In fact, Dylan Roof, you remember Dylan Roof who blew up shot up the people in the church? He was originally going to go to a school. When he found out there were armed guards there, he changed his mind. What stops these events? Somebody with a gun, but the problem is they have to go off-site to find somebody. That's really efficient. You have a madman shooting up a school. There's nothing you can do about it except try to hide. They have to make a phone call to somebody off campus. Hey, we need some help here. 141 gun-free zones. We've got liberal gun control all over this country. See how it works? I don't know, folks. This is it's absurd, it's sickening, and it's predictable. All of this. What's really happening is that Christians are being targeted for murder all over the world. How does Obama miss that? He is a Christian. How does he miss it? ISIS is beheading and mass murdering Christians and infidels of all stripes whenever they find them, making a big show of killing Christians in the Middle East. This shooter asked people their religion. If they were Christian, they were killed. If they were something else or didn't admit what they were, they got shot in the leg. How do you miss that there is a worldwide bullseye on the world's Christians? Well, maybe Obama didn't know that when he went out. That's another reason why he shouldn't have gone out there. But he did go out there, and he admitted he went out there because he did want to politicize this, because this is a classic. Can't let a crisis go to waste. You know what these people are learning now, these shooters? The more people you kill, the more you're in the limelight. The more people you kill, the more people heard of you. The more people you kill, the bigger your name is. The bigger and more fame you get, the more people you kill. This gunman named Chris Harper Mercer, 26, reportedly filled with hate, lived with his mother, asked if his victims were Christian, had a British father, died in a gunfight with police. He had 4 guns, 3 pistols, and 1 rifle and body armor. Killed 9, wounded at least 7, now 10. He had downloaded This World Surviving Sandy Hook, the BBC documentary, according to his profile. He was mixed race. And originally, here they said he was a conservative Republican at first. Did you hear that? Well, that, of course, has to be scrubbed. He was not a conservative Republican. They said he wasn't religious, celebrated Nazis and the IRA, Irish Republican Army. But he saw the Sandy Hook documentary. He was inspired by it. They say this guy was a member of Facebook. MySpace. MySpace? Does anybody belong to MySpace anymore? Anyway, I don't know how else to deal with this other than to just stand up and say no to all of this predictable, conventional wisdom that comes out of the mouths of people like Obama and Hillary and whoever, everybody else in the elected left. And sadly, more and more moderate Republicans are starting to adopt this. I've run into a number of them myself. There were more than 50 shootings in Chicago over the past 2 weekends. Somehow that never gets talked about. We never, ever end. The president never goes out and says a word about the mass murders that are happening in American cities. Gang-related shootings do not warrant presidential attention for some reason, and they are vastly outnumbering whatever's happening on schools. School campuses. But again, I think the primary point here to make to anybody who starts squawking about needing gun control, you tell them, we got it. That's a gun-free zone. Everything you want, you had it right there on that campus. Every person that got shot did not have a gun.